Hello, my name is James Fox. I'm the creative director of the Hugo Burge Foundation, and I'm sitting here in the beautiful glass houses on the Marchmont estate in the Scottish Borders. And I would like to introduce the makers and creators' selected works from the Hugo Burge Collection sale, which will be taking place on the 19th of March 2025. When you arrive at Marchmont House, it's very grand. You have all the grand, beautiful furniture and paintings. And then right towards the top of the house was Hugo's private apartment. And many of the works in the auction are from his private apartment. And that was just like stepping into a wonderland. There were extraordinary diversity of works that were scattered everywhere. You had to it was like a labyrinth of art and furniture you had to navigate your way through. The walls were absolutely plastered with pictures all the way up. So it was very exciting to go there. And then when he said to me, "Would you like to work with me and help me out with the foundation?" I didn't hesitate to say yes. For all of Hugo's commercial and entrepreneurial success, deep down he was an aesthete. He was a lover of beautiful things and a lover of the handmade. And that love went all the way back to childhood. There was a really formative moment for Hugo was when he was a student at Bedale School, when he first walked into the extraordinary memorial library there, which had been designed by the great arts and crafts designer Ernest Jimson. Hugo was astonished. He was astonished by the interiors, by the furniture, by the rush-seated chairs, and that stayed with him for the rest of his life. He went on to become a really avid and passionate collector in arts and crafts furniture, building one of the great collections in the country. Much of that is included in this auction, including two remarkable writing cabinets by Peter Vals, wonderful embroidery by William Morris that hung in pride of place above his dining table, and wonderful works by William de Morgan and Stanley Webb Davies, and of course his hero Ernest Jimson. And Hugo became so passionate about Ernest Jimson that he became determined to save this line of furniture making. That line that went all the way back through into the early 20th century was about to die out. So Hugo stepped in, he bought all the equipment, he set up a workshop here, he invested, he paid for 2 apprentices so the Jimson line of furniture could continue to be made, and I'm sitting on one of those chairs right now. When you see these great arts and crafts items in this sale, these were not just objects he was buying, it was a whole tradition that he believed in and was part of continuing. Hugo was in many ways an artist himself, and I think it's really important to say this. Hugo was not just a collector. He was a collector, of course, but he wasn't just a collector. Hugo was a kind of frustrated artist in his own right. He was a great patron of the arts, and he worked collaboratively with many contemporary artists and craftspeople to put new things into the world. Hugo always said he wanted to leave a dent in the universe, just like Steve Jobs had said before. And one of his things, he filled this estate in Marchmont with amazing works of art. So he was constantly working alongside artists and craftspeople to make things of beauty, things that could inspire other people to be creative, whether it was in their businesses or in the art and the craft they produced. One of the great strengths of the collection are the Japanese and Chinese objects, particularly Japanese objects, and they were shown in the most extraordinary context. They were shown in these glass houses, and they were piled up, surrounded by flowering plants. There were imari vases, this kind of height that was sort of guiding you on pathways through the plants. There were censers and gongs. There was a rock garden and a water garden, Japanese water garden, where Hugo would take his hot baths. It was this amazing immersive experience as you walked into these glass houses through this kind of jungle of Orientalist wares. You would never have believed you were in the Scottish Borders. And that was part of Hugo's great imaginative, inventive approach to the arts. It was about transportive experience. And one of the highlight of Hugo's tree-themed collection is an extraordinary etching by Rembrandt called The Three Trees, which is widely seen as one of the artist's greatest landscapes. Hugo wasn't just a rich man buying high-status objects. He was only buying things that sparked something deep within him, a sense of joy, a sense of excitement, a sense of connection to something or somewhere. And so there was a great diversity in his collection. He might have hung a quite modest pencil drawing next to a Rembrandt, next to a work of contemporary art. He might have had an extraordinary work of furniture that would have stored his animal slippers. I mean, this is part of what Hugo was about. It was, for him, it was not about status. It was not about amassing a collection that conformed to some intellectual or aesthetic preconceived notion. It was about buying things that made his life better, because he believed that art could make everyone's life better. Hugo Burge was the most extraordinary, unforgettable personality, and everyone who met him loved him. And when you see these works together, you really get a sense of what made Hugo so special. The Hugo Burge Foundation is a charity that has been formed to continue the work that Hugo started. We believe passionately in the power of art and creativity and craft to transform people's lives, to transform communities, and to improve society. And we are operating across the country in supporting artists and craftspeople and creative communities and educational institutions, and working in partnership with other charities to advance the cause of the arts and crafts in this country. All of the proceeds of this sale will be used to advance those charitable ambitions. We here at the Hugo Burge Foundation are delighted to be working with Lion & Turnbull on the Makers and Creators selected works from the Hugo Burge Collection fundraising auction. For more information on the auction, please go to www.lionandturnbull.com, and for more information on the Hugo Burge Foundation, please go to www.hugoburge